Hey everybody, welcome back to JG3 Reviews. My name is James, and around here we like to explore the world of fountain pens, paper, and ink. Today's ink is the Blue Skies ink from Monteverde, and this is a Goulet exclusive, no affiliation there. But I got this recently as a freebie with a pen that I bought, and I was excited because I enjoy several of Monteverde's inks, and of course blue, favorite color, and every last shade of it, I think, appeals to me in some way or another. So I thought I would share today with you how the pen performs and give you my impression of this ink. And we'll also look at how it performs on several different kinds and grades of paper. So first, let's look at Clairfontaine. This is going to be, from this video onward, my ink test paper of choice. This is Clairfontaine. It's graph paper. Just keep all my ink review results here in one handy spot instead of scattered over several Rhodia pads that I also use for other things. The pen today, as you can see, is the recently reviewed Hongdian M2. Great little pen. I'm really enjoying that, and I think this is a really nice pairing for this pen. You can see here that the ink performs very well here on the Clairfontaine, nice and vibrant. There is also some nice sheening, as you can see here, and we will see that on other papers as well. But just a really nice, bold blue that I am really liking. It's also an extremely close match to another ink that I will show you here as we look through different papers in just a second. But again, it performs very well here on the Clairfontaine. Let's just go ahead and look at several papers here before we get into other things. Here we have it on Ayush paper, a paper from India that I really do like. And on Ayush, it brings out the shading of the ink. It does have some color variation and shading variation. There is just a little bit of sheening, not quite as much as on that Clairfontaine, and that's down to the paper, but it does look really good on the Ayush. On neither paper, by the way, is there any bleed-through, ghosting, or any issue whatsoever. Sticking with India for a second, this is the Pen Gear notebook. The dot grid, you can also get it in a graph paper spiral as well. This comes from Walmart, and I cannot tell you what a great bargain this is. It's just a couple of bucks per spiral and really good paper. And you can see here that you get some really good sheen on the paper. No real feathering issues. And again, on this paper, no issues on the other side. Next up is the Just Basics wide ruled paper, and this comes from Office Depot. I think it's supplied to other big box office stores as well, made in Vietnam. This is really a very inexpensive paper as well. It's not as thick as the Pen Gear paper, so sometimes there is a little bit of some ghosting, and even with some inks, a little bit of bleed through, but generally very well behaved. And as you can see here, no feathering, no issues. You get color variation, you get sheening, and all of this on a notebook that is, at the most a couple of bucks. And again, no misbehaviors on the other side of the page. So this ink is really working well across a myriad of papers. But we ain't done, folks. Here is Rhodia paper. This is actually the writing I did for the review of that Hongdian pen that I'm using today. And as you can see here, you get really good color variation. Not so much sheening on the Rhodia paper as on the Clairfontaine or on that Vietnamese spiral from Office Depot, but still very vibrant, good color variation, very well behaved, no problems on the other side of the page. On Tomoe River paper, as you would expect, performs very well, no issues here whatsoever, and it's excellent paper, and it is turning out to be quite a good ink. And so it looks really good. And here you have the ink swatch on Tomoe River paper, and this is the older Tomoe River. This is 3 passes, 1, 2, and 3, and it looks great. Really good color variation, great saturation. One thing is interesting, not so much sheen on Tomoe River, which usually will bring out the sheen in an ink, but not so much here. But there is a little bit, and you will notice, do you see how this ink here is just extremely similar in color? Just look at this for a second. These two inks, this one made in England, this one made in the EU, are almost identical, and they're almost identical in shade, in performance, and in the little bit of sheen that they show on this particular paper. The mystery ink above is the cartridge from Scriveiner that they sent me with the EDC pen for review. And look how close those inks are. So if you're not a fan of Monteverde, but you want a similar blue in a cartridge, well, there you go. If you are a fan of the Scrivener blue, but you would like it in a bottle, well, there you go. And last, but, well, actually this is the least. I can't even say that with a straight face. This is just cheap copy paper. Now, what I noticed on this cheap generic copy paper is that it wrote broadly. Suddenly, this pen looks like I'm writing with a broad nib, but it's a fine nib. There's not as much color variation. There is a bit of feathering here, and there is a little bit of the bleed through and ghosting. So cheap copy paper, I mean, that's okay. You can sign things and make notes and things like that. It's not a horrible train wreck, but it wasn't bad though, not too bad. And now that brings us back to our test page. What are we going to do? First, we are going to swatch this ink right here, live and in person on our video today. This isn't actually live, is it? It's live for me. I'm in the room. I'm seeing it. You know, it's happening here. All right. First pass. I really like how bright this blue is. This is a good ink to me. Second pass. And now we'll go for a third pass. And I'm not sparing any ink. It's pretty wet there. I've kind of made a mess of myself, in fact, handling this thing. While we're waiting for that to dry, well, let's do a dry test. 5 seconds. That's quite wet, isn't it? 10, still quite wet. 30 seconds. Well, 30 seconds, that's about dry, isn't it? And just to confirm, at 1 minute, totally dry. So not too bad at all, especially considering how wet this pen writes and everything. I think that's a really good result. All right, now let's do our water test. Now I've had this drying for about an hour or so, and I'm just using regular everyday tap water, nothing special here. I want to be sure, and you know, if we're out in the rain and we get into trouble with our notebook, what's going to happen? If James spills his coffee, how bad is it going to be? All right, I've let that sit for a couple of minutes. Let's see how bad the damage would be. I'm just going to dab this, hoping to see words that I wrote. Now, what was on there is, that's a lot of ink. What's on there is water test, and I can still mostly make that out. I think it's somewhat survivable, but there are places, for example, right here, where it looks like the ink is completely gone. It doesn't look like there's anything left. So I'm going to say not water fast, definitely. It's not documental at all and doesn't claim to be. I'm going to say it's a bit risky because you've got ink just completely. These lines right here are only the grid from the actual paper left, and that's true here and here and here. So I'm actually surprised that those words are left, and the E there on water is completely gone. So, yeah, you need to be careful with this one in the water. I can still read that it says water test because I know that's what it says, but if there had been writing here, it looks like it would have been completely gone. So don't be signing your car loans with this. Right, what do I think about this ink? I really like it. It really has a bold blue color, and it is very well behaved, as you saw on all but the cheap copy paper. It didn't even have bleed through or ghosting or anything, and depending on the paper, varying amounts of sheen and variation. And for me, these are boxes I like to have ticked with an ink. And when I look for a blue, I don't want just a boring blue. Well, that's not true. Sometimes I do enjoy a boring blue, but sometimes I just really want a blue with a kick to it, and this ink has that. It is everything I like in that Scrivener ink that comes in the cartridges, but not in bottles. And so this kind of gives me a great pairing to that ink when I'm in the mood for one or the other. So overall, what do I think about it? I think this is an ink you might want to check out. Now, it is a Goulet exclusive, so you're not going to be able to shop around, but hey, I'm one of their happy customers, so that doesn't bother me. Check out Monteverde Blue Skies. I think you're going to like this blue. Once again, thank you for all your likes, shares, comments, subscriptions, and God bless you. Have a great day.